Who doesn't love a good game, a good league, a good match to watch on 2 to 3 nights a week? Well, the ICL is exactly that. And for those of you that have not heard about them yet, what is it? Well, it's a championship league between 20 teams of Disney Lorcana. Team Forbidden Mountain has not played in an ICL match since their exhibition match, well before even DLC Seattle. So it's been a long time coming to kind of put this together and say, hey, it's time to play. What's really cool and interesting about this is that it's teams from all over the nation and honestly, players from all over the world, which is really cool to see. On any given night, you might see some of the game's best and greatest, and that is also very exciting. However, we wanted to officially announce our roster for this. It was a little bit more difficult for TFM because we are a bit wide around the nation. In all honesty, not everyone likes webcam games, but we did find some help. So let's talk about what the ICL is so you guys have a better understanding of it. So the ICL here, you can see this is the round 1 of the ICL. A lot of it's already been played out. We're now coming on to February 19th, which is TFM versus Cerberus Den, and it should be a really fun game tonight. It'll be on at 7 p.m. EST on Wonderland's channel, and the ICL actually has their own official YouTube channel. I will put that both of those links in the description of this post. Now, let's talk about the team because that's what's most important, right? First and foremost, we have TFM, Melissa, and Ben, the power couple of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania nowadays, coming in and the recent finishes off their top 4 in the 10K SSG and the top 5, or the finalists of the SSG 5K. Ben and Melissa, great TFM members, and they're finally bringing their games to Pixelborn Connect and kind of showcasing everyone in the ICL what they're all about. Now, of course, we have the next TFM Dick and Dan D&D sessions. I will be playing from time to time. Dick will be playing from time to time. But before we get any further, let's discuss some of the problems we've had with Mr. Dick Burns. That's right, guys. Very recently, anyone that's been paying attention to the ICL, Dick Burns played for Team Villain Club. I don't know what the hell this is about, but you can see here, he actually just rips a Forbidden Mountain in half. I mean, I don't know what I'm supposed to do about this, guys, but it's clearly, all right, it's a problem. All right, we can't have that. So because of that, I've actually given Dick Burns a round 1 suspension from TFM. I just can't trust him. I don't know what crazy voodoo Lorcana villain did, and we can't have it. So therefore, we had to find some more help. So let's talk about the rest of the team here and the things that they are going to be presenting. We have Christian and Alex. Christian has been a friend of mine for many years. We go all the way back to Transformers trading card game together, and he has followed us into the Disney Lorcana world. And you can see here, he's had a couple nice finishes locally and things like that, which is great. And then there's Alex, who was a qualified member for NACC. You can see here that he finished in top 8 of the CCS 10K in December. He was top 16 of DLC Seattle. Been on a really nice run as of late, and we're really excited to add Alex to our team. But there is more. This is Vosmos Cosmos, better known as Bucky to us, but Ben to many. He is also being added. We didn't get his player card made yet. Sorry, Ben. But He's going to be participating in the team as well. Very excited to grab him. And you know what? There is one more, guys. That's right. There's one more, but we're keeping him a secret. He is the special weapon for tonight. So if you want to see who the final member of TFM is for the ICL, you're gonna have to tune in tonight because that is when we are playing the Cerberus Den. And listen, guys, I got no beef with the Cerberus Den. I met Josh a couple years ago at PAX Unplugged, dressed as a Donald Musketeer. I think he's great. I think he's awesome. But you know what? Tonight's the enemy. Cerberus Den is the enemy, and that is just going to be it for all. I'm so very excited tonight for the match. If you haven't yet, definitely check out the ICL. It's going to be great. 7 p.m. EST on Wonderland stream on YouTube over the ICL YouTube page. Definitely check it out. Super excited to play. And yeah, we'll catch you tonight. What up, everyone? Good morning. I recorded that this morning and posted it on Facebook. I don't think I can post it on Twitter, so I figured I'd give it, I'd add it to the video so everyone can kind of like see it, enjoy it, and kind of be a part of it because honestly, I'm pretty excited. I think that ICL is pretty cool. I think it's going to keep us a little bit busy in downtime, and I think that's fun. I think that everyone kind of needs some of those things going on, and it's nice to just like hang out for a night, play with players that you may never even have the opportunity to. While it's 20 teams from around the nation, players from around the world, even if when you walk into a DLC, you might never sit across from any of these people. So I think it's pretty cool. I think it's fun, and it is exciting. And tonight is our first game, so it should be fun. And the rosters have not been announced yet. They kind of keep those things secret. We are, just so everyone knows the rules, owners of teams cannot commentate over their own team's games. So I will not be commentating tonight, but I will be hanging out in the TFM community Discord. So if you want to come and join and watch along with me, that's where I'll be. Also, some of the other members of the team that aren't playing tonight will also be hanging out in there. So if you want to hang out tonight, join the Discord and you can kind of watch along with us as I probably make fun of our team because that's what I do. But yeah, so it's been a lot of fun and it's exciting. But we got some cards to get to today, guys, and there's a lot of them. So the other day I finished off, and I think there's like 40 that I need to talk about. So I might miss some, and if I miss some, you know what, they'll get covered if they're good enough in the next video. Let's be honest, because now that we have them all, we get to start breaking it down and start like building decks with it. And shout out to Dreamborn. They already have 144 cards, maybe even more since then. Is that for real? Yeah, man, I suspended him. Like he got suspended. Like he's in trouble right now. We put Dick Burns in the corner, guys. I know you're not supposed to put Baby in the corner, but he's in the corner. Because you know what? We just can't trust him. We don't know what's going on. All right. He drinks some tea, he dyes his hair red, and he's just a different person. So he's just, I don't know. We'll see. But let's get into it. Let's break down these last couple of cards. And we have the one, the only Tuk Tuk. 2 cost, uninkable, 0 strength, 1 willpower, 1 lore with bodyguard and resist 2. Yeah, this card's terrible, right? I just, having resist 2 on an 0-1 is on an uninkable is strictly worse than just playing Kita. Like you can just play an inkable 2/3 and it's just strictly better. So not a Tuk Tuk that we're going to be playing today, guys. We're going to just move on. This Baymax goes for one of my favorite cards in the set, I think. Just on the art alone, I posted the GIFs in Discord of just like Baymax like face planting into the steps because his battery is low, and that's all this is. It's so funny, like it's literally called Baymax low battery. 2 cost, inkable, 3 strength, 2 willpower, 2 lore, and the ability. This character enters play exerted. So we've had I think it was Sleepy in the past. There's 7 dwarves. I might be wrong, but I think it was Sleepy. Was he the one that came into play exerted? Was it the same stat line even? 3/2, maybe it's 2/3. I can't remember. That didn't really see any play. This card probably also won't see any play. Yeah. Fa la la la. But it is an interesting choice from Bunzai. Like Bunzai is a card that has gotten a lot of love over the last couple sets from time to time, and this is inkable stats that do come to play. Exerted, I don't know. I don't want to write it off completely because I think the stats are good, and when he's not answered, he's like great. I just don't know if like entering play Exerted is just going to keep this guy off the table. I think it's very, very hard. Okay, so Sleepy is a 2/3. Thank you. So it is reverse Sleepy, but I don't know. It might be something the Emerald might actually need. Will there be open tryouts for Dick Burns' spot, or do you? No. We already filled Dick Burns' spot tonight. All right, he was going to be in. Normally I can rely on Dick Burns, and he can come and he can play, and I, right now I can't trust him, so we had to replace him. I promise. The replacement is great though. I promise. Certainly better than the worst player on TFM, which is Dick Burns. That's also self-proclaimed, not for me. But moving forward, Roger Radcliffe, 1 cost inkable, 1 strength, 2 willpower, 1 lore with the ability There You Go. When this character quests, you may move up to 1 damage from each of your puppy characters. Cool. We're not playing this card though, right? I don't think so. If we're playing a puppy deck, I don't think we're playing it to heal them like this, so I don't think Roger's going to get any love. That's just my opinion. But hey, it's nice to see Roger in the game, I suppose. Madam Mim, 6 costs, inkable, 4 strength, 5 willpower, 2 lore, with the ability Play Rough. When this character quests, exert chosen opposing character. So over the weekend, the Chernobog came out, and the Chernobog is the 5 costs, 2/6, if I remember correctly. That when he comes into play, he exerts something. I think that both of these characters are trying to do kind of the same thing, but I'm always going to favor, on average, the cheaper and the more guaranteed version of it. So since this character is only when she quests, she has to kind of live to tell the tale about it, which I think is like much slower than a lot of the other Amethyst options that are like this. So just because of that, I don't think she'll see any play. This card is probably very good in limited. For a rare, this is a card you're definitely going to be excited to see. But I don't see a reason for her to kind of exist in constructed. Really tough. I think overall she's going to end up missing though. Honey Marin, 2 cost, inkable, 2 strength, 2 willpower, 1 lore with the ability Tale of the Fifth Spirit. When you play this character, if an opponent has an exerted character, gain 1 lore. I like this card quite a bit, if I'm being honest. I think that, certain versions of aggro will play this card. I think that the conditional lore is really great. If I had to like compare it to a particular character, it would be like a mini super goof. Like obviously this card doesn't challenge right away, which doesn't give you those abilities, but it does give you like this board state where your opponent could know that this is an out for you to win the game, and they might not be able to exert in a character and move their game forward because you can just be like, oh, I'm just gonna I'm gonna put this in play, gain a lore. For 2 costs, like now you have Honey Marin, you have White Roses, you have Cobra, you have Goat. Like there are so many Amethyst cards that read when you play it, gain a lore. So there's a lot of different ways to threaten that now, and there might just be enough of it to interact in a way that this card just ends up seeing play. I don't know. I don't think this is like a card you can play 4 of ever, in my humble opinion, but it's definitely a card that might see play as a 2 of. So later in the game, as the game state progresses, you might be all right, my turn 4 play or my turn 5 play is just White Roses plus Honey Marin or Cobra plus Honey Marin. You're just like gain 3 lore out of kind of nowhere. So I think that this card is good. I think that it'll definitely see some play. Elsa, 2 cost, inkable, 2 strength, 3 willpower, 1 lore with the ability What Do We Do Now? Whenever this character quests, if you have a character named Anna in play, gain 1 lore. All right, listen, guys. Here's my question, okay? Why can we just not have like a straightforward good Elsa and Anna? Like why does there like they have to almost live and die by the text of if you have Anna or if you have Elsa? I don't get it. It kind of sucks because this card, maybe it's fine in the like heroes deck, but I feel like in order for that to be true, this Elsa had to be Steel, or it just had to be Sapphire itself. Like if this card was Sapphire, and you can tell me that I could play it with the 2-cost 1/4 hero Ana, and that was the kind of the deck that I would be invested in, sure, but it's not. So I don't think that you're just gonna like play some blurple like Elsa on a hero deck. I just don't see it. I think you lose way too many good cards from Steel, and you just fall off. You don't have you don't have any good removal in that deck for like an aggressive style. So I feel like this card just falls short, which is really frustrating for me because I just think that they are so attached to this. You need the other one for them to both be good. Like, spoilers, guys. I don't know if you ever seen Frozen. Elsa is OP. She does not need Anna to be powerful at all. So, like, I hate the idea that they're like so stuck on the concept of the only way this card is good. And for what it's worth, like, even if this obviously this play was just 2-cost 2/3 when you play Gain of Lore, that's insane. So it can't just be that, which I'm comfortable with. I just hate that they're consistently stuck on this idea that like you need to have the other character to even be remotely close. Very, very frustrating. Bucky, shout out to Rudrose, I believe is how we pronounce his name. His reveal in this was hilarious. So I had to give him a quick shout out because I really did thought it was funny. I thought it was clever. But Bucky is a 3-cost, 3 strength, 2 willpower, 1 lore character with the ability Pop. When you play this character, or sorry, when this character is banished and challenged, you may draw a card. I think it's fun. I think the card, I don't think it's very good. I don't think we're going to see it play. I think that it's hilarious that we did get another Bucky, and it's letting us draw cards rather than discarding cards. But as a pure stat line, I think this one falls pretty far behind in general. But hey, it's nice to see Bucky back and getting a little love in Disney Lorcana. Donald Duck. Let's talk about a card that has some cool text on it. Donald Duck is the 7-cost uninkable, 5 strength, 6 willpower with 3 lore. He is the Amethyst Legendary, and his ability is Obfuscate. I don't know how to say that word, guys. Opponents need 25 lore to win the game. Man, this card is interesting. Am I right? And this is, to me, as someone that's been playing games like a really, really long time, this effect is not shocking whatsoever. It's pretty common in every game I've ever played to have some level of this. So it's cool, it's unique. I think that this one is correctly statted. I don't think it could be cheaper because I think it would be too free. I don't think it could have any other text on it than what it does. I do think the 5/6 is great. If this card was a 5/5 and it just, got banished by Zeus, it would feel terrible. My only weird argument is that it could have maybe been a 6/6, so it didn't get banished to like Coil so easily. But in general, I do think this card's really cool. I wish this was worded. No, it can't be worded. It can't be worded. Oh, worded differently. I wish this was word. No. We don't want 50. 50 life is that 50 lore is too much, guys. 25 is very achievable. I will say this was brought up in the last video on the channel about the timing window of Donald's, and I think it's hysterical that this is where we go, guys. Right? We get these card reveals and we start talking about these ridiculous scenarios because they can happen, like they're possible. So in a world where we both have Donald Ducks in play, okay, all right. If I have one and you have one, and somehow we both get the 20 lore with Donald in play, neither of us have won the game because of the ability of Donald. And then it's my turn, and I say, you know what? I'm gonna play Be Prepared. So because I play Be Prepared and I'm the active player, the game actually checks for me first for the win condition of the game of gaining 20 lore. So although Be Prepared goes off and we each had a Donald Duck, if I'm the one that played Be Prepared, the game will check for me first. So therefore, I will win the game before my opponent wins the game because that's the way priority works. I think it's really interesting that this is how this works in Disney Lorcana, and it's something that doesn't come up very often. I'm not even sure if it's ever come up before. And if it has, you guys can let me know in the comments, I guess. But I don't know that it has in the past. But it's so interesting that like this is the way it works. In most games that you would play, it would just end up in an unintentional draw, which is really funny to see. But that's not how Lorcana works. They have removed that equation. And I have to begin to assume that this will be covered in the FAQ, or it might even be, like when you go into the app and you click on a card and it shows you like all the rules. I imagine it's going to be attached to the app, which I think is funny because I do think that's going to be a question that comes up very commonly if this card is even close to tier 2 and people just like playing this Donald Duck. And it's gonna happen where this board state's gonna exist, and a judge is gonna ask the question, and the judge will be like, "Shit, I don't know." So, I think it's pretty fun. Yeah, but it's saying Donald has to play in effect to stay. It's saying that Donald has to. Yes, of course, it is. But it's notable that when the game ends, you could say it could be interpreted that when this game ends, if we're both at 20, the game only is reading for who gets the 20. It wasn't like typically known how the game was working before or how it was reading before, but it's very similar if you're both on 19 and there's 2 goats in play and you play Be Prepared. Like, yeah, both goats go into the bag, but you resolve first. So you would get to 20 before your opponent's bag trigger for goat would trigger. So therefore you would win the game. This is just slightly different because technically both players have already won the game if they were at 20 each and this character was in play for both of them. So it's just the way the game works. It's the way the game reads, and the game is going to look for the priority player first to meet the conditions of winning the game. And I just think it's super niche. It'll happen 1 out of 10,000 games or some crap, but it'll happen. Pongo. Man, this is a card that had a lot of talk. So Pongo is the 6 cost, uninkable, 5 strength, 5 willpower, 2 lore, Amber Sapphire character with the ability Found You, Little Rascal. At the start of your turn, look at the cards in your inkwell. You may play a puppy character from them for free. So I know there's been a couple cards in the past that allow you to look at inkwell. I don't think any of them are played. This card, if you're a puppy enjoyer, then you're going to play this card. That's my humble opinion. I think it's cool. I think the idea that you get to utilize your inkwell as just free characters is very interesting because there's no like restrictive cost here. So, there are 4 cost puppies and things like that you can just, pick up your hand, see that there's a lucky here and just drop a lucky and play. Like, I think that's kind of cool. I think that's very interesting. Again, I'm starting to wonder, and, you guys can let me know. I'm starting to wonder if Duel Links actually allow for like another barrier to be broken similar to legendaries, because now we've seen several dueling characters that I think have like legendary abilities that are so unique, and it's very clear to me that because of the parameter that's set on Duel Links, they feel more comfortable about creating this particular type of text. So that's what I think I find most interesting, because I think that this type of an ability is so good, it's so powerful that it could have just been on a legendary and been super unique. But since it's on a super rare, you have to like actually think about it, like, oh, okay, like maybe it's not. I just think that maybe being Duel Link is enabling this. Now, for our judges in the house, this card can probably cause some headaches. Specifically right now, at the start of your turn trigger in Amber also has Lilo. So if you really want to game the game system, you can actually exert to play Lilo first, then trigger Pongo for Found You, Little Rascal, and pick up your inkwell. And if one of your cards that were inked, exerted, were a puppy, you can actually now turn that puppy and just put it into play. And you technically now only played 1 for Lilo. I think that's very interesting. It also came out, and I don't know how official it is, so don't hold me to it if this changes. But it was being talked about in the ruling section yesterday of the main Discord about your inkwell and how you can kind of treat your inkwell. And it was said by Rav Kyle that you can like literally put your ink in order. So if you are playing this puppy deck and you want to keep track of like which cards are puppies, you can just say, okay, I'm going to ink all my puppies on the left, and then I'm going to ink all my non-puppies on the right. So that way that when you exert your ink, if you exert your left side of your ink, you're like, oh, I know I exerted 2 puppies, so like I can maybe get one of those for free. You can't necessarily, I mean, you could if you're this smart, and you can keep track of it the whole time. You can technically know what every card you put in the inkwell in order if you don't pick them up and shuffling. I'm with you, okay? Christian, I'm glad you said it. Thank you. This is why he's on TFM for ICL, guys. I personally disagree with this ruling. I do not understand how this is not note-taking. But right now, that's the rule. That was what was talked about in the section yesterday in the judge channel. I personally think that it is absolutely note-taking. I don't know how you can ever describe it any differently. So, no, I don't agree with this ruling, but this is the current ruling we have. Whether or not it changes is debatable. Yeah, I mean, well, working with ink tokens, that's actually funny. It doesn't. I don't know. Yeah, it's not about how you have it, how you prevent it, right? And I think that that's really the argument, is that in theory there is no way to actually prevent it, and I think that that's why it's not note-taking. But I don't think that we've ever had a card that was so specific that it mattered as much. But now that like this type of an effect exists in the game, who's to say there won't be more? You know, like who's to say there won't be, when you play a card, you know, look at your inkwell and play a song from it. Like now that you have that, there might now be another layer to the game to manipulation of inkwell and things like that. So I just think that it's very interesting to me how strict they are about not note taking, but now they're kind of enabling this way to theoretically note take. Even in a world where, you know, and I guess for what's worth, it's possible that players have already done this, where they might literally ink every turn and keep their ink in order for every turn. You don't have a webcam. I don't have a webcam over me to show you, but like they could definitely like lay out their cards that way, and that might help them keep track of what exactly every card was inked in every turn if they can like specifically remember the order. But yeah, I agree. I just think it's weird that they're so strict on note taking, and then they publicly come out and say, well, not, I mean, it's pretty public if you're in the main Discord. So they publicly come out and say, well, this is actually a way that you can do this to like not break it, but like abuse this particular ability. So I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think Pongo's great. I think that the Amber Sapphire cards have come a long way in this set, and they've obviously very much leaned into the 101 Dalmatian puppy like scheme. I definitely think that it won't be a total embarrassment anymore to play a puppy deck. Like, there's enough cards here that are actually good and strong, so people are going to be pretty excited to just be like, oh man, I can actually like win games. I don't know if I love the idea that like Amber Sapphire's only identity might be puppies. Again, if you guys have been here since day one, chapter 1 Amber Sapphire was so much fun to play. So now all of a sudden we're just like living on dying on puppies, I think is kind of comical, but hey, you know, that's life. Speaking of puppies, we have Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt is a 5-cost inkable, 3 strength, 7 willpower, 2 lore with puppy shift. That's right. You may pay 3 ink to play this on top of one of your puppy characters, and he has bodyguard. So a 3/7 on turn 3, because there certainly are puppies, 1 and 2 costs, that just shifts into a giant bodyguard. This card's pretty cool. Obviously, if you're a puppy deck, you're playing this card, no doubt about it. And I think it's going to be kind of annoying. Like, I think this card is annoying enough that against, you know, any deck that's not playing Sapphire Coil and Sisu or Brawl, like any of those decks that just don't have a good way to deal with 7 willpower and not necessarily 3 strength, they're going to find this card to be a big problem on turn 3, even like turn 4. Like, this card hitting play early, you know, Amethyst decks in theory are going to need Crab plus Fox to take this character out. So I think it's very interesting. I think this card definitely can cause problems for a lot of decks, and it's going to be, I think, if the reason why the Amber Sapphire decks are going to win is potentially just because they have a 7 willpower body that protects their puppies. Well, but you know, we'll see. What's Grandpappy? Come on. For what it's worth, Grandpappy was okay for like a couple weeks. I played it in League and it was fun. Hey, guys. everyone was so excited for Floodborne Hey Hey. And I think it's cool. I think this card art's awesome. This card's pretty interesting. 5 cost, inkable, 1 strength, 5 willpower, 2 lore, shift 3, resist 1, and clear your mind. When you play this character, put all cards from your hand into your inkwell face down and exert it. That's obviously a very large commitment. And it's very much, hey, I'm living off the top of my deck. But, if your deck is designed to do so, I think it's interesting. I just don't know. It does break all the inkable rules. So, if your hand is just stuck on inkables, this is kind of interesting to kind of just get to your next part of your game. But again, you're completely reliant on the top of your deck. And Sapphire Steel can definitely position yourself to have ways out of that. Like we have Beast. We obviously have a whole new world. We have Docks. Like we have a lot of cards that we can play to interact with this. It does very much well interact with Oswald. I think that's a pretty notable thing. And it's also every card inked is an individual trigger. So since they're all individual triggers, like if you miss the first one, it goes under. You get to do it again. You keep kind of like moving the game forward. So there is a way that hey, if we're just gonna try and set this up, have our Oswald on 2, or maybe even turn 5, we're just kind of just setting this up where we can play Oswald and then shift onto Hey Hey, dump the rest of our hand, get a bunch of Oswald triggers, and hopefully some of those triggers are cards that let us draw cards like Popsicles and like Force Spheres. I think that's kind of cool. I think there's something there, but again, it's very reliant on the top of your deck. So it's probably closer to a meme gamble deck than it will be a consistent playable deck. I think it's interesting though. Again, these Sapphire, these dual ink cards are presenting these really unique abilities that clearly the game designers are just saying this can't exist anywhere else. So I think that's what's most interesting. And for what's worth, we can also play a Hey Hey, dump our hand, quest with high rim, draw 2 cards, right? We can also just do that. We can pick them right back up and then go into the final turn, or in the next turn with lots of ink in play. Fazoo. All right, so I don't actually remember what this card does. But it's a 3 cost, inkable, 2 strength, 3 willpower with 1 lore. I can go and find it, I guess. Let's see. There were so many cards that this one's going to be a little bit far behind. Just give me a moment. My luck is it won't even been posted. Doesn't look like it was posted there. Son of a beach. Second challenge to turn, game 3 lore. Thank you. Shout out to you. All right. Guns and Roses. So yeah, so the second challenge. So 3 costs, 2/3, 1 lore. And the second challenge in turn. Yeah, this card's pretty bad, right? We're not going to play this card. I don't even know that the Challenge Matters deck plays this card, but maybe it does. Maybe the Challenge Matter does play this card. Maybe that can actually create some gain 5 lore in a turn type situations. So I don't think this card might not be a 4 of or anything like that in that deck. But I do think that we're going to see a lot of people trying to make Challenge Matters work and trying to make Ruby Steel work in that fashion. So that's cute. That's cute. I can agree with that. Super Goof gaining 5 lore in a swing is definitely cute. But it's also the second challenge. So your opponent's board has to be set up for this, right? They just have to have 2 characters exert it for you to create this line. That's kind of tough. I don't know. This might be it's a funny comparison, but we made this video forever ago. It's called the Rapunzel effect, and it's these board states that your opponent just goes, well, I can't do anything because if I do anything, my opponent just gets to draw 3 cards with Rapunzel. So if that's the type of level here, it's all right, well, I can't do anything because my opponent just gets to gain 5 lore. This card just becomes very, very terrible. And it's not to say that you can't win, but I also think it's you have to do it. So Steel can hit exert it, right? But you have to play specific cards to enable that. And those aren't always the best of choices either. So yeah, I think that if there's some world where we're going to create this super crazy convoluted system and both of our, like, me and my opponent are going to agree to let me do it, then like maybe it's there. I definitely think there's going to be a lot of people playing around with this. Like not just this, but just the challenge matter stuff in general. Obviously, Mushu alone is going to make people play cards like this. So, I think it's very possible. Good morning, friends that are just generating. Yeah, Gantu definitely got reviewed. I think he was a couple days ago, but Gantu, I think in my first reaction to Gantu was not great, but as the reveal season continued on, I actually think there might be a good position for him and that he'll get a little more love than I was giving him credit for, but only in specific steel in combinations. Like, I don't think that it's a card they'll see play in every like steel mid-range deck. I think it's going to be more specific to Sapphire or Amber decks, where I think Amethyst is already kind of clogged at the 4-cost slot, so I don't think they can afford to play another uninkable. But I think he's interesting. All right, this guy's huge. Another foreign card that I don't have an answer to, but I think that this one's pretty simple already. 3 strength, 3-cost inkable Pacha, Emerald character, 3 strength, 2 willpower, 1 lore, and it looks like somehow he gets +2 lore. I'm looking forward to when we have all the English cards out of this, but this guy, just by stats alone and the ink cost that he is competing with a lot of like really play. If you have more cards in your hand, is it is it like when he quests? So when he quests, if you have more cards in hand, he gets +2 lore. Is that what it is? It's not when play, right? Like when play would be cracked. So I imagine if it's when he quests, if I had more cards in hand, then he has 2 lore. That's interesting. So he's effectively a 3/2 for 3. All right. So yeah. So it's whenever. Okay. So it's whenever you quest. Got you. Thank you for Philip here and Christian for helping me out. Yeah, I don't think they're going to play this card. 3/2 for 3. Even with that ability, you can't control it, which means you have no guarantee that he's even going to be this. Obviously, I think that he's not good enough. I'll be shocked. However, for your commons and uncommons only, like this card might be interesting. We'll see. Penny the Orphan is a 2-cost inkable Sapphire character, 2 strength, 1 willpower, 2 lore, with Our Bottle Worked. While you have a hero character in play, this character gains ward. So the character kind of reminds me of Noi. If you guys remember Noi from the Floodborn, which was the 2-cost, I think it's a 1/2 that gains ward if you have an item that has resist and ward. That also might be a card that comes back now, guys. Just saying. So you might have a couple versions of these characters that have 2 lore and ward laying around on conditional cost, because I think there's enough playable heroes. I think there's enough playable items. I think we're going to be playing cards like Bell that we're going to talk about in a little bit. So I think that like these cards are actually okay, and they might keep you low to the ground enough and be annoying enough against Ruby Sapphire. They don't always have an answer. They can't just always cease to or brawl this, which I think is interesting. So yeah, this might be low to the ground enough that it actually could see play. And it's funny because this specifically says hero, right? And this is what I'm talking about before, where, the Elsa earlier, I hate that the Elsa specifically targets just Anna to do something. Like this card opens up to be playable in the Sapphire hero deck, and there's plenty of Sapphire choices that are good. There's plenty of steel choices that are good. And there was already like kind of a level of consideration there when building this deck that this card just adds to it. It just makes the 2-cost 1/4 Anna better. So I think that this card's going to see some love, and I would not be shocked to see people playing around with it early. The Stabbington Brother is a 5-cost inkable, 4 strength, 4 willpower, 1 lore, with the ability Crime of Opportunity. When you play this character, chosen opponent loses 1 lore. This card's way too slow for Construct It. It's not even that great of a stat stick for 5. It's inkable, which is whatever. You're going to play it in limited for sure and probably be content with playing it in limited, but even in limited, it might be like understated. I didn't look at the I'm not the limited guy on the team. It's not me. It's Scott. It's Nunez. They're the ones that are going to be covering the guide for it. So they'll tell me in like a week if this card's going to be good or not, particular for 5 costs. But I think on average, Inkable 4/4 with 1 lore and this ability is probably fine. It's also notable that it's when you play the character, chosen opponent loses 1 lore. So it's not like, oh, if they're ahead of you, they lose a lore. So it's always, that's a little helpful. So Hero Hamada. All right. This guy is very interesting. How do you guys feel about this card? Wow. It's like that. All right, AJ. I see you. I see you. So Hero Hamada is a 7-cost inkable, 4 strength, 6 willpower, Emerald Sapphire character with Shift 5 and the ability You Can Be Way Worse. Your Floodborn characters that have a card under them gain evasive and ward. I mean, the text on this card is very powerful. Giving certain Floodborn, I mean, giving like any Floodborn character ward is probably really, really good. Giving them evasive is very interesting. Like he does a lot. Like the idea that my Clarabelle could be a 5/6 evasive war with 2 lore. I mean, that's kind of awesome. Like that's kind of good. Him himself, you know, being able to shift and being a 4/6 with 3 lore, evasive and ward. I mean, that's just good. We want to talk about getting around, you know, sapphire coils and stuff like that. This card could just directly be a tech answer to Ruby decks in the format. So, man, I don't know. I think this card is actually pretty good. The shift 5 is a little high, but I think like the payoff is really nice. If it were the fact that it's inkable, I think is also really huge. The idea that we have morph in Emerald, so we can kind of just utilize morph for any of the other cards that we really want to. But yeah, I think Hero Hamada and just Clarabelle alone, like are they just might be good enough cards that right now, like if you give them ward and evasive, they can now freely quest, freely move about the game, and they can interact. Like this card also can interact, come in, remove a genie like immediately. I don't know. I think that this card has a chance. I really do. And again, back to that Duel Link thing, that the idea here that this You Can Be Way More, it feels like a legendary ability. So I really like the design that Duel Links were pushed to be successful in this type of manner. I think it's really cool. I don't know that Yokai's will enough to play. I'll be honest. I agree that, like, yeah, it'd be cool to get this guy out earlier. But I think in general, Yokai is just a bad card. So I don't really want to play that to make this good. And I think that if you have to play that to make this good, I don't know that it'll actually be good enough. I think this card needs to be good on its own instead of the things like that. Yeah, I mean, having the universal shift, that just is now a 5/5 evasive ward character. Yeah, I'm in. I think this card has a chance. I do. All right. I definitely forget what this card does. I 100% forget what this card does. I forget what I was doing when these cards were spoiled, and that's why I don't remember. Normally, I read them as they come out, and then I'll like remember it forever. But I think Scott posted this one. It's a lot of text, so I'm gonna try and find it real quick to make sure I don't mess it up. I'm pretty confident. I think the card is bad if I remember from my initial reaction, but this was revealed a couple days ago. Let's see. So far back. All right. I got it. Thank you guys for pointing out though. So, 4-cost inkable amethyst legendary with 4 strength, 3 willpower, and 1 lore, and she has the ability exert this, put 3 cards from an opponent's discard to the bottom of their deck and gain 3 lore. If you choose a princess card, gain 4 lore? Huh? That's confusing. Gain 3 lore if one of the cards is. How do you? Okay. So it's from the opponent's discard pile. Okay. All right. So like, if your opponent is running princesses, you get to exert and gain 4 lore. This card's terrible. I mean, this card feels so awful. I will say, in a world where maybe the new Tamatoa is a big deal, and we just like want to prevent this like crazy item scheme going on, and maybe I don't see it. I just don't. I don't personally see it. Yeah, I think if it was a 3 cost, it would be closer for sure. I think 4 cost is too much. I think it's too much, and I think that even honestly, I've talked about this a couple of times before, but they printed Hiram, right? Hiram is a 4 cost inkable 1/6 that when he quests, you get to do the thing. I hate all of these cards that they have made since then that are just exert. I hate it. I hate the idea that we can't quest with this card to gain a lore and then do this effect. Like, how could they get away with making Hiram so broken, but then these unique cards that have these super unique and fringe abilities just not do the same thing? It's so frustrating to me that I don't know. It's like the same thing goes for the Sapphire Queen. I think she's Ursula's return, if I remember correctly, but she's exert. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. If you get an item, play an item, exert it. Like, again, if she was quest, on quest, gain a lore and then do the thing, she'd be way better. I hate this restriction that they keep punishing themselves with for exerting a character. Not a fan. Not a fan. Just not. I wish, though. I wish. All right. Let's keep going. John Silver. 8 cost, inkable, 6 strength, 4 willpower, 2 lore. Emerald Steel character. I got to read all these characteristics because there's a million of them. Storyborn, villain, alien, pirate, captain. Checks a lot of boxes, guys. Checks a lot of boxes. Drawn to fight. If an opposing character was damaged this turn, you pay 2 less to play this character. Okay, that's interesting. Resist 1. Okay, and then I ain't gone soft. Whenever you play an action that isn't a song, you may deal 1 damage to chosen character. Yeah, this card's super mean, in my humble opinion. I think the idea that even if you pay 6 for this card on average, I still think it's kind of mid. This whenever you play an action that isn't a song thing is still super weird. I still don't think it's good enough. So I'm going to be on the side that until someone proves me wrong, and I love being proved wrong, by the way. I love it. I love when someone comes up with this crazy idea that's great, but I just think that these action non-song matters decks, I feel personally that they're just not going to be good enough. And I know there's people out there that are going to try. They're going to try their best to make it work. I don't think it's going to be good enough. It's unfortunate. It doesn't work with banished damage characters. If an opposing character was damaged this turn, why would it not work? It doesn't work with the banished damaged actions. I guess I'm just confused by what you mean by this. Oh, you're saying oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. No, yeah. Okay. You're saying I don't know. What are we been talking about? What card is Mosquito Bite? Okay. So if I play Mosquito Bite, can I use John's effect, then Mosquito Bite? No. So you can't. Whenever you play an action that isn't actually, yeah, why not? I think that would work, right? Whenever you play an action that isn't a song, you may deal 1 damage to chosen character. Oh, yeah, not yeah. Oh, no. Sorry, the time window you cannot. No, because Mosquito Bite is put a damage on a damage character, right? Is that how work? I'll bring it up real quick. I forget the exact wording on and Dreamborn's being slow. Give me a second. Let me go read Mosquito Bite to be sure. Come on. All right, so Mosquito Bite is put 1 damage counter on chosen character. Yeah, I don't see why. I mean, it seems fine, right? So you just put 1 damage. If it was, I can't remember any of the name of these cards that do bad things. If it was a character that was, if it was any of the actions that read you had to be damaged, it would not work because you have to resolve the action first. But Mosquito Bite specifically reads just put a damage on something. So yeah, that totally works. Can anyone remember any of the names of the bad actions? I can probably narrow it down. Let's see. 1 cost uninkable. Emerald. So as an example, where's this card at? I can't remember. Wow, does that card cost 2? I bet you this card costs 2, and it's just that much worse. I cannot find any of the cards I'm looking for. Make the Potion? Is that the name of the card? I'll take your word for it. Okay, so Make the Potion. So Make the Potion is a deal 2 damage to chosen damage character, right? So that does not work. Ring the Bell, another good one. Neither of those cards would work with this card because when you play the action, you have to resolve the action complete first in order to trigger I Ain't Gone Soft. So like I Ain't Gone Soft goes into the bag, but if the action has to complete for you to trigger this. So you can't be like, oh, make the potion, and then in response to the text on Make the Potion, I Am Gone Soft a character, and then hit them. No, it doesn't work that way. Unfortunately, the game does not allow that type of stuff at all. If it did, these cards would be much more, like this card would be great because it would make all these cards like at least remotely playable, but this would still cost $1 million. I still don't think it's good enough in general, but at least it's like a conversation that you can kind of have about it. I just don't think that we're there. So I think this guy falls pretty short. TikTok, 5 cost inkable, 5 strength, 6 willpower, 1 lore. Looking for lunch. During your turn, this character gains evasive while a pirate character is in play. Vanilla stat stick. You'll be happy to play it in limited. And that's it. Sorry, TikTok. 4 cost, uninkable, 3 strength, 4 willpower, 1 lore. Stabbington Brother, a Ruby character with rush and the ability Get Him. Your other character's name, Stabbington Brother, gain rush. So we saw the 5 cost 4/4, right? He was also Stabbington Brother, if I remember correctly. I guess these guys work together. Rush in limited is very good. I don't think that this card particularly sees play. There's just better Ruby cards in general and constructed that we would play over this one. So I don't think it's going to get any love there. I'm sure it's okay in limited, but because it's uninkable, I don't think it's going to like be a card that you're like crazy about. But I'm sure it's fine. I don't know. 40th card. What does our Jasmine do, guys? Let's scroll up. I'll find out. So many card reveals. I should have did this the other way and out of the album. Actually, wow, where is this Jasmine? She must have been revealed a long time ago. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, we got her. So Jasmine, for our friends at home, we'll make her a little bigger here. She is an uninkable 5 strength, uninkable 5 cost, 3 strength, 5 willpower with 2 lore, and she has the ability Extra Assistance. Whenever this character quest, if you have no cards in your hand, draw a card for each ally you have in play. I think she's pretty cool. I think the ally stuff is interesting. I very much enjoy that is Sapphire Steel's identity. kind of, with what's going on with Maid Marian and now Jasmine and Cluck. And I think that there's a lot of like really unique choices here for Sapphire and Steel. Do I think that at this moment it's going to be like the best Sapphire Steel deck? I don't think so. I think that like the generic good cards are on average better than ally cards. But I do like the idea that Sapphire Steel is getting this identity of saying like, hey, we can, at any given moment, there's going to be allies that come out that are just like bangers. People often forget that Tinkerbell is an ally. So that's kind of cool. I also love the idea that this inadvertently works with Hey Hey, right? Like we can dump our hand and then just quest and get a, like, hopefully just draw cards based on that. So I think that the Sapphire Steel stuff all very uniquely end up like working together pretty well. I think it's good. I don't think this is like an all-star by any means, but I do like the idea that Sapphire Steel kind of had 4 cards that all work well together enough that give you a pretty generic direction on how to build a deck, which is also like very good for new players. Having that much direction being told to you by the game designers, like just very easily, I think is important for any new player. So I really like the idea of how Sapphire Steel kind of came together in this set. All right. Check out this. This card is beautiful. And I know I don't normally, like, I don't do too crazy, but I absolutely love the coloring on this Taka. I am hopeful that this foil pops. I really am. But Taka is the 6-cost inkable Amethyst character, 5 strength, 6 willpower, 2 lore, and challenger 2. So effectively, it's a 7/6 for 6. It's also the best version of Taka to shift onto for the gigantic 12/12 or whatever that card is, because it has shift 7. So like in any world where this card is good or that card is good, that is where you're going to see it be played. I don't think that that's going to happen. I think that Ruby Amethyst has a real chance to be too slow, and that particular play line might be devastatingly slow and just like too easy to answer, if I'm being completely honest. So I don't know that we're going to get that much love. This card is absolutely a bomb in Limited. It'll banish anything and probably live to tell the tale. It's like a guarantee 2-for-1 on a stick on average, so you're definitely going to love it there. But yeah, as far as constructed plays, it's nice to have like an actual card that I don't feel miserable playing if I have to play it for the Floodborn, but I don't think so. Not gonna fall short. Rocket Stitch. I mean, the Phantom Blot. 2 costs, uninkable, 3 strength, 1 willpower, 1 lore, and has rush. I have no idea where this card is from. Not a clue on earth. I know everyone said it was a deep cut or something. I don't know. But it's just Rocket Stitch, guys. And I'd argue that Rocket Stitch is way cooler than this. So why would we ever play this if we can play Rocket Stitch? Do we really need 2 uninkable 3/1s with rush? I don't think so. So I don't know. I have no idea. It's a villain, which is important. All right, that's fine. I guess if that's relevant, maybe. Yeah, exactly. Like Stitch's hero shift target, way better card. This card is clearly just this. So, DuckTales. All right, DuckTales. Wouldn't know, guys. Would not know. Anastasia. So Anastasia is a 3-cost inkable, 3 strength, 1 willpower, 2 lore. This image sucks. So it's I hate this, I think is the name of the ability. Whenever this character is challenged, the challenging character chooses and discards a card. So this is just Flynn Rider and Curse Merfolk. You just keep going up the scale. I don't know. I guess this card's like fine. Definitely playable and limited, most likely when you're on the play games. Hey, you guys are we're being told that he's from old Mickey comics, 1940s. That's a deep cut, guys. That's old. I have no idea. Literally have no clue where he's from. So I believe all of you in a way. Yeah, I don't know. I think this card is probably too mid. Like the effect of Flynn Rider and Curse Merfolk are normally so powerful because you get multiple quests out of them on average, or it's more restraining to to the players early on in games with like tough uninkable hands. So I think that this card at 3, like this ability at 3, is like actually on average worse. But I will say it is nice that this card does trade with most removal pretty well. But the 1 willpower also makes it so very vulnerable to like every removal in the game. And if this card was a 3/3 with this ability, it would be like an auto include. I think it at 3/1 in a world with Sapphire Coils, it just gets banished to everything. With 1 willpower, it gets banished by everything. So I don't know. I think that it's like pretty blah. Cool. We get to talk about a fun card. All right, seriously. The Return of Hercules. This is the take. I'm gonna all right. This is the take. The take is this card is bad. Right? Is that what this is? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I miscorrected. I got your back. So the Return of Hercules is a 5-cost inkable, first of its kind, legendary action for Emerald. Each player may reveal a character from their hand and play it for free. This card is so interesting. Now, again, this is a card that I think gets printed in every game that is ever made. And it's really just about the cost and kind of the things that we can do for it. I am very happy that this card is inkable. I am very happy that it's only characters. I think that's all very interesting. Yeah, so this is the topic, right? Letting your opponent decide their character after you reveal yours is funny. I think it's interesting. What I what I find most interesting is like that's just how Lorcana works, and there's pros and cons to all of it. On average, this is probably one of the cards that you wish didn't work under the rules of Disney Lorcana. You almost wish that this card read when your opponent may reveal a character card and play it for free, and then you may play a character card and play it for free. Like if it was specifically worded that way, we could argue that this card is that much better. But it doesn't, and that's okay. I think that might be on the scale of too good. So there has to be a drawback, and I like to gamble, so I think this card's pretty interesting. I think that there are decks, and I said this about Ink Geyser, there are decks that are going to be designed to play the Return of Hercules. Like that is the point of the deck. So if the point of the deck is to play Return the Hercules, then that's great, because that means whatever you're playing on average will likely be better than the character your opponent is playing. However, we also know how the game works. If Return the Hercules is good, Ruby Sapphire decks can kind of freely just put Maleficent Dragons back in their deck, and they can just be like, yeah, I don't care what you're going to play. I'm just going to put my Maleficent Dragon on the stack and whatever. It also reads like, hey, I can put my Sisu on the stack, whatever, and not the stack, in the bag. I'm sorry. So that's kind of the problem with this card, is that, when you play it, if Ruby Sapphire is a dominant deck in the format, and let's be honest, guys, it probably is going to be, all of their endgame characters are awesome, and you letting them play it for free, that's gonna be the biggest problem with this card. And I see, listen, I see the discard stuff, right? I hear that, and I think that's possible. But honestly, here's the problem with that: is that if you take all of your opponent's cards out of their hand, then you just want to play. You don't need to play a card like this. We don't need to gamble on a card like this. We can just be like, oh, my opponent has no cards in their hand, so I'll just play a good 5-drop. I don't need to like play a 5-drop that drops a 7-drop. Like that doesn't make any sense. So like that's why everyone that's making this claim, they're like, oh, we're gonna play this discard deck and then we're gonna play. That's you already won the game, guys. Like if they don't have any cards in their hand, the game is already over. You've already won. So just like play a beast and move the game forward. You know, like that's why I don't live on that on that like scope because it's just win more. We don't need to do those things. But in a world where we want to play this card on turn 4, you know, if we want to ramp into it in Sapphire, I think it's interesting. I think that you can put particular cards into play that can alter the game. And you can also just say on turn 4, you know, my opponent better have it. A lot of times against Ruby Sapphire, you know, they're mulling away their end game. Like they're looking for the early game, they're looking to ramp and find their way into it. So if you can catch them quickly enough where they don't have a bomb to play, or it's not like an opportune moment to play one of their bombs, then you might be able to just catch them off guard and just play your bomb. What are the bombs that we're playing with this? I think that's a really good debate. There are certainly cards that if like playing it for 5, and if you get it cost reducted, it's interesting. But I think it's still difficult. So I think this card is really cool. I think it's really fun. I definitely think that's it's a amazing card for fun in multiplayer. We don't talk about that very often on the stream, but if you're a multiplayer fan, this card is awesome for that. You get to do all sorts of shenanigans. I definitely think that it being a legendary action is nice. I think it's cool. We'll see what it's worth, you know. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cards. Honestly, like there's definitely plenty of choices. It's also a matter to me, and I said this about the Mickey Mouse, right? Like playing cards like this is fun. It's interesting how much you can get away with it and like how much you can do with it. But I don't like playing cards in my deck that are only good if this card resolves, like if this card actually goes off. Because if you're just like sitting in your hand and just like all these like ridiculously high cards, you know, in your hand, you can't actually play them. You know, let's just say your opponent goes like Pete you on 4 and then, you know, plays Gantu on 5. Like if it just says for 2 turns, you can't actually play this card, and this is the card that's stuck in your hand, you might just lose the game. So there's a lot to think about when you build this deck, but I do think it's interesting. I definitely think it's warranted. I don't know that if I can say it'll be similar to Lucky Dime and it's going to have like the impact that Lucky Dime did as a legendary non-character. But I think that I think this ability is warranted for a legendary. I'm very hopeful that this is one of the enchantments that are revealed today. I don't know. We'll see. I think it's cool. I think it's interesting. I think the timing of this card might just be bad. So maybe, you know, maybe this card is just one of those cards that gets better with time. It's very hard to say. So this guy is just a 2 strength, 2 willpower, 1 lore, inkable, 2 character, Amber, and he just has support, if I remember correctly. So no one's gonna play this card. I don't even think you're gonna be happy to play this card in limited because there's just better stats on average. So, but yeah, that's fine. They can't all be winners, guys. Raya. Raya, the Guidance Seeker, is a 3-cost inkable, 1 strength, 4 willpower with 2 lore, and the ability A Greater Purpose. During your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, this character gains resist +1 until the start of your next turn. Yeah, this card seems fine, but I think because of the way the metagame is going to be, and because of all the like Ruby removal that just immediately answers this card, its effect means nothing. And I just don't think it's going to see any play. The 1 strength is definitely holding it back. And Zipper, it's funny. I'm a big fan of Zipper. Who shout out to Zipper in the chat there. Zipper is 100% better than this card because it's inkable. It's a 2/2, and it has ward, and it has the ability to give it to anybody. This card is a 1/4, can only give it to itself, and it doesn't have ward. It's strictly worse in my opinion. So I don't know. I don't think this card is gonna get any love. It maybe if the hero deck needs it, like if this is just like a good enough card because it also has hero on it, maybe, but I don't think so. Yzma. So Yzma is a 7-cost inkable, 3 strength, 8 willpower, 2 lore, amethyst emerald character with shift 5, evasive, and the ability back to work. Whenever another character is banished in a challenge, return that card to its player's hand. Then that player discards a card at random. Again, super interesting ability. The dual cards coming through again with this like super crazy wonky ability that we don't see anywhere else. And yeah, I think this card's really cool. I don't know how good it is, right? I have no idea if any of the other Yzmas are remotely good enough to shift onto. But the effect is really cool. It probably is asking for a lot. I wish it was just a 4/8 or a 4/7 even. I think that 8 willpower is obviously a ton. I think that this card is clearly problematic for steel decks. 8 willpower is just bonkers. And it certainly can backfire. I think it's interesting though. I think that that's like the cost of this card, right? It's very similar to the 6-cost Floodborn Yzma that when she comes into play, you can, shuffle a card back into a deck and draw cards. It's super similar to that. So I like the flavor of like Yzma as a continuous kind of like storyline flavor. I like this ability in general. Like I think that it has a lot of good things going for it. I just think on this one, in this ink combination, shift 5 is kind of a lot to ask for. If we can't shift this card, paying 7 for it feels awful. I mean, like actually just awful if you have to pay 7 for this. So I don't think it's going to come through. But at least I think it's interesting. Is the name of this card Twin Shot? I forget the actual name of this card. I know exactly what the card does, but I don't remember the exact name of it. Too many cards revealed, guys. Too many cards revealed. So this card's a 2-cost inkable steel action that does 1 damage to up to 2 characters. And it does choose them. So you can't hit ward with this stuff. I think the name of the card is Double Trouble. There's like 2 cards that have the same type of art. One is Amethyst, I think, and the other is now Steel. And they both have like similar names. I forget, but the end all be all is this card it's an action that when you play it, it deals 1 damage to up to 2 chosen characters. So it does specifically choose them. So it is Double Trouble. All right, cool. Thanks. So it's similar to Twin Fire from set 6, where Twin Fire was an uninkable that was like do 2 damage, discard a card, do another 2 damage to something else. It's like similar to that role, but obviously 1 damage is not 2 damage. But it does choose 2 cards. So in any world where illusions existed, again, I think we're down. We only had 4 illusions, so I don't think there's illusion deck, guys. Don't be worried about illusions yet. I don't think that aside from Cobra, I don't know that any of the other ones are going to be like highly played. That's just my opinion so far. But in any world where like if there were, a 1 cost, a 2 cost, a 3 cost, a 4 cost illusion, well, this card would just like time walk your opponent. New Enchanted. All right. Well, in the end, here's the end all be all, guys. This card's super mid, but I'll bring up the Enchanted. I assume Melissa has told me it's here. So let's see. Let's get excited together. It is. Oh shit. There's a bunch of them. All right. The Glass Slipper. We all know what this card does. I made fun of it a bunch. I'm not shocked at all it's Enchanted. Looks beautiful. Card's gorgeous. Wow. Is it all of them, Melissa? How many was it? Very exciting, though. This card looks awesome. I'm going to leave it up here for a second here. But 6 of them were... All right, cool. 7. All right. Let's go to the next one. Hey, I called it. I am a prophet. I am a prophet. This looks cool. Turn Hercules is pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Oh, and the Shet Champ? The Shet Champs, dude, it's a disappointment. Guys, we had I don't want to get is this the Set Champ? Or no? Is it not? Is it not? I know. I hate when this happens. I hate when this happens. Can someone this Melissa, never mind. I got you. Hold on. Right, here's a direct link to the Facebook page for anyone there. I will say this. We've only seen 2 Enchanteds of the 7 that are posted here, but they're already better than set 6. I hated set 6 Enchanted, guys. I hated them. I hated them. All right, let's look at the next one. What is this? Oh, guys. This is terrible. This is beautiful. This artwork looks actually incredible, but man, does this card suck. This artwork is also beautiful. This card also sucks. Okay. All right. Show Me More is an interesting one. I think this card has a chance. Let me get rid of this. This looks beautiful. I think this has a chance. I think that this is probably the best one that we've seen so far in terms of playability, aside from the legendary. But this looks awesome, and this card is good. So that's cool. Holy shit. Wow. I'm going to put that full screen for you guys. Wow. That is... Oh my God. Guys, this card is beautiful. And it is so good. Oh, man. This would be like if Maui Shark was Enchanted. This is absolutely the Chase Enchanted of the set. Like, oh my God. This actually, wow. Jesus. This is the reason why product will be open. 100%. 100%. I think even right now, we were talking about this the other day in team chat. I think Mufasa from Shimmering Skies is still like a $300 Enchanted. And that card's like not even played, okay? Not even played. This card has the potential to be like an every deck card for Sapphire. And it's Enchanted. Oh, wow. Guys, holy shit. What is my Set Champ card? Did I miss it? Was that 7 or is that 6? Is there another post, Melissa? Let's see. Oh. Why are there 2 of them? What's going on here? I actually don't hate this. I actually like this Set Champ card a bunch. Is there an article for this or no? It's just this post. So what is what the hell? What's the deal? What's the deal? Why is there 2 different ones? One is Enchanted. Yeah, okay, I know that. Do we know which is which? Oh, I see it. So the Enchanted one is the sucky one. Oh, so this is okay. I see. So this is an Enchanted, and it's similar to Ursula. Is that what's going on here, guys? Oh yeah. Sorry, guys. Sorry. So is that what's going on here? It's just like Ursula, where there was an Enchanted Ursula and then the set championships Ursula. Is that how this is being set up? So this guy is the regular Enchanted on the left, and then on the right is the set champs Enchanted. Is that what I'm gathering here? Melissa, come on, you did the information here. You're supposed to help me out. I think this is a very good set champ card. It's 40 non-foil and top 8. So is the 40 non-foil on the left, and then on the right is the foil for top 8? Is that what this is? Could one of them? Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Like, where was the post at? Melissa sucks, and she didn't add the text to the post, so I don't have any of the information. Give me a second. All right. Let's see. Disney Lurkana. No, I don't want that. Where was this post even made? It's not even on Twitter yet. What the hell's that about? I don't know where the post came from. This does not seem to say anything. Oh my! Look at this. Impromptu. All right, she comes in to give the deets because she sucks. Say anything. Oh my! Look at this. You gotta turn me off. Turn me off.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I was worried I could hear myself. Did you mute me?
I did. We muted the TV.
All right, thank you. So can you give us the details? What's going on?
So they posted 2 posts back to back. The screenshot here is very literally all they said. I'm pretty sure from the article we got a while back that they're giving out the 40 of like the non-foil version of the card that comes alongside. My assumption is based on the card that's on the right with the little icon. That is likely the OP version. That's the 40 non-foil. Because it has that little logo that kind of matches other things, where the one on the left.
Like the Rapunzel and...
Yes.
Okay.
That is speculation. I don't know that 100%, but that...
They just posted this image. They didn't say what it was. That's so depressing.
And then there was nothing else with that. It was just like a post back to back, and I just wanted to get it up.
Okay. I think either way, I'm excited about this.
I think it's pretty cool art.
I think the art is awesome. It is...
It's playable.
It's arguably the best card printed. If I mean, like, when Rockstar Stitch came out, he really wasn't playable anymore. Like, and Ursula has only ever been playable as like a one of or something like that. I think that this is a legitimately good choice. And again, I think I said this. I played like 7 matches in set champs because I just did not care about Scar at all. This card will get me to go to set champs every week. 100%.
Yeah, I think it's super cool, and a lot of people are going to want to chase it.
Yeah. And the playmat will probably look awesome too. Was that posted or no?
We have not seen a playmat yet. We just saw the picture of the 2 cards. It was a Facebook and Instagram post. There was no article to go along.
Oh, no, that is the answer. Okay, so yeah, the left one is the 214 of 204. So that means that's in the set. And the right one is the 24 BP or whatever. So yeah, so the left one is actually in the set then.
Which means the left one would be the Enchanted and the right one would be the promo. Which is
so the left one is like actually confirmed. That's definitely in the set as an Enchanted, which I think that's... I will say this time I think that the set championship art is cooler.
Oh, interesting.
So
that means we don't get Universal Shift Baymax.
Probably. Yeah, probably. All right. Thank you, reporter Melissa.
Happy to help.
Eddie, was that it? So it's just 7, or was this actually?
That's all. So there was one article that had the 6, and then there was that other post with this, and that's all we've gotten so far. Okay. I'll keep watching socials.
Yeah, I mean, I assume it's going to be every couple hours. I also don't think we're going to get all 18 today. So, but getting 7 is pretty cool. Getting this at I'm excited to see the playmat now.
I was very excited. There was like Rochelle was leaving little hints in the Discord saying it was live, and I kept checking the news page, and it like wasn't on the news page, and I was getting antsy.
Yeah, like I didn't even get a Twitter notification.
Yeah, it was a little. The notifications were lagging. I think there was a time delay or something funky.
Yeah. Look at that. I made fun of her, and she just appeared, guys. Just appeared out of thin air.
I was like, I know how to get in here. I'm just gonna go in and explain it.
This is how you know. This is how you know that Melissa has power, guys. All right, this is how you know. What are you? Are you not working right now? Are you?
It was lunch break, and I was watching for cards.
We're watching Dan.
Here.
Dan.
There you go.
Guys, I don't even know where I was in this breakdown.
You were on a steel card.
I was on Double Trouble. Touche.
Yep. Because you called it
Twin Shot.
Twin Fire.
Yeah.
There's still a bunch of cards left. It's kind of ridiculous.
We're gonna let you go back to that, and if anything new jumps, I'll just pop back in.
All right. Sounds good.
Have fun.
Thank you. See, guys, this is what it's like to have a team. Huh. Oh, apparently Mad Hatter was revealed. Look at that. There's another one. Send it. Oh, I can't. It doesn't let me allow to use links. They're all in Discord now. Am I being pinged in Discord in places? Let's see. If they're in Discord. Oh, thank you. Ooh, the Mad Hatter does look pretty. Give me a second, guys. Not the best image of it. What is this from? What is that image from, AJ? This image looks like shit. Give me a second, guys. Okay. So this is Mad Hatter. This is like pack opened. All right. No, I hate you, Jorge. I swear. You're the worst. This looks pretty. Looks nice. All right. I wonder where is your family playing Lorcana? I don't know where this is actually from, but that's cool. All right. Let's go back to this. Otherwise, we're never going to finish breaking down all these cards. So yeah, we got a 4-cost, inkable, 4 strength, 4 willpower, 1 lore, emerald character that has a connecting art, and we're never going to play this card. What about Mirabelle, guys? In case you haven't figured it out, I'm a huge Encanto fan. Encanto and Frozen are the 2 things I get most excited about, and at the same time, the 2 things I get most depressed about. 6-cost, inkable, amber amethyst character, 2 strength, 6 willpower, 2 lore with shift 4, and the ability, her own special gift. Whenever this character quests, you may return a song card with 3 costs or less from your discard to your hand. So obviously we get to work together with the other 3-card Mirabelle, or 3-cost Mirabelle. So that's cool. However, if you do that, it means you didn't sing with the Mirabelle, so you don't even have a song in your discard pile potentially. I'm still a little hesitant because the action or the songs that we have in this ink combination aren't particularly impactful on average. So I'm still very worried about that. I think it's cool that you can definitely build a 60 card deck with the Madrigals, which is great. But I don't know that you're ever just going to sit there and kind of look at your opponent as you realize you're doing a bunch of stuff that has no impact to the game. And I think that's going to be the real problem here is that, you know, the Isabella that was, revealed very early on is obviously a very good card. And it's cool that we can keep playing songs that keep her from being challenged forever. But she's just a 3/3 that has infinite other ways to deal with her. So I just don't know how you're going to like win the game. And it's kind of upsetting. I do wish that there was a little bit more power there. But hey, like if you're a Madrigal fan, if you're an Encanto fan, then great. You have enough cards that synergize together that you can play together. Rhino. 6 cost, uninkable, 4 strength, 7 willpower, 2 lore with the ability Destiny Calling. Your other characters get +2 willpower. The idea that this is just like a location in theory. What do we have? Pride Lands that grants willpower, Rapunzel's Tower that gives willpower. So the idea that you can just like put this dude in play and all of a sudden you have a 2 lore that has 7 willpower itself and it buffs all of your other cards to have more willpower is very interesting. Do I do I think it's good enough? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But I think that it's cool. I think that it's interesting. I like global effects on average are very good in most games. It costing 6, and not being a Floodborn or anything like that. Like if this was just like any other character that you could shift and get this ability for a little cheaper, I think it'd be a little. Yeah, Hero was confirmed for set champs. Yes, it was. At least it looks like it was. There's no actual text box, but it seems that is the deal. Yeah, I don't know. Rhino's cool. He's one of my favorite characters from Bolt for sure. He's so funny, but we'll see. Training staff. 2 cost inkable item with the ability steel item with the ability Precision Strike 1 and exert this. Chosen character gains Challenger 2 this turn. So this is just oh man. What's the name of the steel card that buffs heroes? Like this is just strictly worse than that card, but it's universal. Like that card gives them evasive and challenger, which is just much better. Imperial bow, right? So this is just like strictly worse Imperial bow, but it's generic. I do think that this card is probably good enough and limited. Like the idea that we just always have the ability to pay 1 to exert and give our characters in limited Challenger 2 is pretty. I think that's good enough, especially because it's inkable. So in limited, you're definitely going to play training staff, but I don't know. I don't know if you're going to see much play outside of that. Wendy Darling, 7 cost inkable, 5 strength, 7 willpower, 2 lore with evasive. Tell no tales. Whenever one of your characters is banished, you may remove all damage from chosen character. Yeah, I mean, you could put this in Mufasa or some crap, I guess. This card seems awful. Really cool art. Would not shock me if this is also one of the evasives that get revealed. This card seems bad. Way too expensive. Freckles. More puppies, guys. More puppies. So Freckles is a 2 cost, 2 strength, 1 willpower, sapphire puppy with the ability Just So Cute. I agree. When you play this character, a chosen opposing character gets -1 strength this turn. It's fine. I don't even know that if it's like good enough in the puppy deck. It seems like too fair and like the ability seems too irrelevant. If it was -1 strength until the start of your next turn, it'd be closer. But I guess if like we just need 2 costs to like shift Thunderbolt onto, maybe it's fine. I don't know. Probably not. All right, we got through those. Great. We got through those. All right, so we had Razul. Razul is a 2 cost, 1 strength, 3 willpower, 1 lore with the ability My Orders Come from Jafar. When you play this character, if you have a character named Jafar in play, you may banish an item. It is a captain, which is notable. I think all the Razuls are, but this card's pretty meh. Dun, 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 dun. We covered this a bit earlier. We talked about the Donald, but yeah. So hold on, I'll come back to this. Rizul, I don't even know that you're going to play this card in the Jafar deck. If I'm being honest, like maybe you do, maybe you don't. It seems kind of mid. So whatever. But let's talk about this real quick. So, what if 2 Donald Ducks in play, and you each have a goat, and your opponent is at 24, and you're at 19? You play Be Prepared, and you're at 25. Okay, so the answer is you actually. Okay, so this is actually technically different since you're not winning the game. So this particular and just so we're clear, I am never going to be claimed to be a certified judge, but what I believe is possible. There's 2 answers to this. The first one is if the game individually checks for a win condition for each player before the bag comes into play, then I think that you lose the game, right? If your opponent is at 24 and you're at 19 and you play Be Prepared, they get the 25 Lord and you go to 20. So the question here is not about the bag. There is no draw. This is not true. There's no way in any world that this is a draw, just so we're clear. The question at hand is whether or not the game is supposed to check for the win condition of the game prior to completing the bag. So if the game is looking for win condition first, it means when you play Be Prepared, the Donald Duck will no longer exist. So the game will immediately check, do you have 20 lore? No. Then the question becomes, does it go to your opponent? Does your opponent have 20 lore? That is something I don't know the answer to. In a world where, let's say you're already at 20, okay? Just because I think it's a little bit easier to understand. If you're at 20 and your opponent's at 24 and you play Be Prepared, the game will look for you as the active player to see if you have 20 lore, and you'll win the game because you have 20 lore. Does not matter that your opponent is 24. It literally doesn't matter because the game is actively looking for your active player's win condition first before. So the only question here is that if the game is looking for a win condition along with bag items, let's just say it's not. If it's not, that means on your turn as priority player, everything is active and you get to choose resolution of them before your opponent ever gets to go. So the only question that's coming up is whether or not if the game is actively looking for if the win condition has been met, like evenly, it'll look for yours first and it'll say, okay, are you at 20 lore? If the answer is no, and then it goes, okay, is your opponent at 20 lore? Your opponent will win the game before your bag trigger goes off. But I don't know the answer. I'm not some advanced level judge. I'm giving you my best interpretation and I don't my best interpretation is that the game is always looking for a winner. So it will always check to see if you won first, and then it should check to see if your opponent does. So again, if you were already at 20 and GOAT was not a part of it, then I think that the GOAT would you would just win because you're already on 20. Because the GOAT's a part of that and your opponent's already above 20 and you're not, then I'm not. I don't know. I don't know exactly how the game checks for these board states because it has not come up ever in a game, right? Like this is not something that comes up ever. But if we go back to the other ruling, if we're both on 19 and I play Be Prepared and we both have GOATs, my GOAT goes in the bag, your GOAT's in the bag, but my GOAT resolves first. I go to 20, I win the game. So it's different. It's a different question. So it's really just like the time winning of when does the game check for active, like when does the game check for inactive player to win the game under the conditions? I just don't know the answer. I'm under the assumption that your opponent would win the game though. That's my assumption. We'll see. It'll definitely, hopefully it's definitely covered in FAQs. All right, back to these cards. I hope I did a good enough job explaining. I'm sorry I don't have all the answers. I think that it's something that we're gonna have to wait and see what's said about it. Yes, if you are at 20, you do win the game. You win the game before your opponent. That's for sure. So it's just a matter of if the GOAT trigger is relevant enough. if it triggers before it looks for your opponent to win the game. You know, it's a bunch of stuff that, you know, I don't think that we've never had a reason to ask it before, so therefore we don't know the answer. 6 cost, inkable, Wreck-It Ralph, 3 strength, 8 willpower, 1 lore, with the ability Outflank. During your turn, whenever one of your other characters is banished, this character gains 1 lore this turn. This card is actually terrible. We're never going to play this card ever. Yeah, you'll play it in limited, but it's probably always ink. Like this card seems just so bad. Is what it is. Can't all be winners. Let's talk about this card. I think this card is super interesting. So, Daisy Duck, the mutilated pirate, is an 8 cost, uninkable, 6 strength, 5 willpower with 3 lore, and the ability Foul Play. Once during your turn, whenever a card is put in your inkwell, chosen opponent chooses one of their characters and returns that card to their hand. It costs 8. It's uninkable. It has 5 willpower. It has a very unique ability. I think that this card is the type of card. Multi-talented. I'm sorry, I read it wrong. I think this is the type of card that the Return to Hercules action is. This is the exact card I want to play with that. I want to have a clear board. You know, like I want to like Mother's Knows Best my opponent, get rid of everything, get everything off the board, and then I want to play this card, let my opponent play their 1 card, and then I just want to like put an ink into play and like return it to their hand. That's where I think this card excels at. Whether or not that's actually good is totally up for debate. But I think it's very interesting. I don't love the idea that it's just like when you ink, your opponent gets to choose. Obviously, if you got to choose, it would be way powerful, like way, way closer. So I do think this card's going to fall short, unfortunately, but I think it's really interesting. But sadly, I do think that this card's probably not going to be good enough. I keep going backward. Maybe I should go forward. Aha. So Goofy. It's a 7 cost inkable, 7 strength, 6 willpower with 1 lore. He also has evasive and the ability of star power. Whenever this character challenges another character, your other characters get +1 lore this turn. This card's super mid. It costs $1 million. It's like just probably not good. This is not what we want to be doing on turn 7 ever. So I just don't see it. Obviously, even like in some world where no, that doesn't work. So yeah, I think this card's bad. I don't think we're gonna like this card's just not gonna see any play. I would be shocked if at all it becomes playable. Mattias here is a 2 cost inkable, 3 strength, 2 willpower, 1 lore with the ability Proud to Serve. Your queen characters gain ward. It's also notable 2 things, and this is an ally and this is a knight. So it works with mines and it also works with all the Sapphire Steel ally cards. So I do think that this is hitting on a lot of very interesting points. So because of the versatility of this card, there's a world where this might just see play just based on the characteristics of the card, the random ability of the card. I think that it's pretty interesting. It's hard to say that it's going to be like super impactful, but I do think it's hitting on multiple notes that are relevant to the game and the previous metagame. So maybe it ends up good enough, honestly. Like, maybe. JDZ Quest, I don't know what you're talking about, buddy. I do not agree. I think Goofy is not money. Not at all. Welcome to the stream, bud. Oh, let's go back. Okay. All right. You want to talk about money? Money? Here's your dollar common, guys. This is the Sal the Azerite Sea of Archazia's Island. Guys, this card is nuts. Like, this card is so good. Why? Why is this card Sapphire? And I know why. I get it. Like the ability is, but Jesus. So Bell, the Apprentice's Adventure, is a 3-cost inkable, 3 strength, 3 willpower, 1 lore, Sapphire character with the ability of What a Mess. During your turn, you may banish chosen item of yours, and you just play this character for free. Guys, free. The card is this card cost 1. And it doesn't even cost that because when you play Popsicle, you draw a card back. When you play Fortisphere, you draw a card back. When you play, I mean, like even in a world where we're talking about Inkcaster for crying out loud, like this card's insane. This card is actually insane. This card is so good that when you talk about building other Sapphire decks now, you now have to understand that whatever we're doing, right? Like let's look at the Emerald Sapphire deck that we had built, right? We didn't believe in the item version. We don't think Hiram's good enough. Like we don't like that's the way TFM was building the deck, and we did just fine without any of those cards. Now the problem is that you have to understand that every Sapphire version, you now have to contend with a 3/3 on turn 1. So the idea that you have to be able to contend with a 3/3 on turn 1 is so ridiculous. So now it starts making you think like, how do I build my deck that can answer a 3/3 on turn 1? And the honest answer is this is very close to the, well, if you can't beat them, join them. And I think that that's how ridiculous this card is. In any metagame where red-blue is just going to be like the item version, they're going to play this card, and you have to answer it. In Sapphire Steel, they're going to play this card. You got to answer it. Like, and I know, I know it's like, oh, it's just a 3/3. It's just 1 lore. It's whatever. Who cares? Like, guys, a 3/3 dominating the game for 4 turns, being able to sing, being able to just challenge like literally everything else. Like you just this card so quickly invalidates so many cards in the metagame. It's insane. Like actually cracked insane. And it's one of those, I made a joke in the Discord yesterday that we started working on our content, for the next couple weeks where like, all right, we're going to do, we'll do like our best cards video and we'll do some of our deck videos that we focus on new cards. And like, dude, this was like one of those cards. Like, listen, there's only 7 cards left. Chances are, or there's only 8 cards left. And I was like, chances are 7 of them will be duds, and there'll be one that we have to work out for. Yeah, I didn't think the one we had to work out for was going to be the Sapphire Common. I mean, God, this card's so good, unreal good. Like, it's so like. Again, Sapphire in Archazia's in Azurite Sea. Sal the Azurite Sea was the namesake of the set, and it was honestly one of the most defining cards of the set. And again, 2 sets in a row now, the defining card of the set might be a Sapphire card. And it's crazy. Like it fuels Tamatoa. Like it just, my God, this card's actually insane. And I did see something. I think it was on Twitter, maybe it was on Facebook. There's a world where, we made fun of, like, we kind of mocked the Ruby Sapphire Bell because of it costing $1 million and, like, how do we get items in the discard pile? Like, how do we do any of these cool things? This card actually turns on a way to play the Sapphire Bell, the Sapphire Ruby Floodborn, like on turn 4. On turn 4. We might be able to play the card on turn 4. Like, you could sing Be Prepared on turn 4. Or you can quest for 5 on turn 4. Like, oh, man. Sapphire Coil. Bell Apprentice Inventor. Sapphire's eating good, guys. This card's going to be in everything. Oh, man. I think I'm done ranting. But yeah, guys, this card is so good. Oh, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. And then there's Calhoun. Like, last card to talk about. I think this was the official last card revealed. 3-cost inkable, 2 strength, 4 willpower, 1 lore, Dreamborn Hero Racer. Tactical advantage is the ability. When you play this card, you may choose and discard a card to give chosen opposing character -10. No one's going to play this card. I would 100% rather play the Floodborn, Amber, Ruby, Calhoun, and never put this card in my deck. So we're just going to act like this card, it doesn't exist. We're not going to play it probably, unless there is some number that we have to hit for racers, and you have to play this card just because of it. You're already praying for set 8 to have more racers because you just do not want this card in your deck. Where I can't see a world where this card's gonna be good. I can't see any world. If we go back to like set 1 metagame, in set 1 metagame, we were kind of like forced to play the Tiny Tactician, the 3-cost inkable 2/4 Tinkerbell. Like, we were forced to play that because shifting on, it was so good. Like, shifting Tinkerbell on turn 4 in chapter 1 metagame was like unbelievable. I don't think that shifting the new Calhoun on turn 4 is at all relevant to the card being good. So therefore, we just don't want to play this card. I don't think we're going to play it. I could be wrong. We did see the Enchanteds, but let's look at them again. For anyone that missed it, Enchanteds came out, and some of them are good, some of them are cool, some of them are awesome. So I'll put a bunch of them on screen again. We have the Devil's Eye Diamond. I think this card is not great, but, I think this Enchanted is beautiful, right? I think that's cool. Oh, yeah, totally starter deck card. So, yeah, Enchanted, really cool. The Glass Slipper, another one. Beautiful art, really cool. Nice to see it. This one I'm excited about. I actually do like the normal art more than the Enchanted, but I'm excited that this card got an Enchanted. I think that's pretty cool. Like, we didn't get Lucky Dime as an Enchanted, right? So the idea that we got the legendary action as an Enchanted is pretty sweet. This is another one. This card is cool looking, but this card is not good. So I'm sure if anyone's going to be excited about this card, it's going to be Katie from the Lore Keeper's Inn. That was the card that she revealed. So having an Enchanted for the card she revealed, I'm sure will make her quite excited. She'll be happy to own this because it'll probably be really cheap. It won't be very expensive, in my opinion, which is nice. I'm very excited for this. I think this is low-key really, really good card. And it's really cool that it's Enchanted. Notably, most like non-character Enchanteds have not been particularly expensive. So this could come in on the cheaper end. And until someone flat out breaks the card, if everyone remembers Finders Keepers, right? Like, Finders Keepers, what is an Enchanted that came out and nobody played Finders Keepers. And then it showed up in like 1 or 2 tournaments. I think it was right after Ed won the Battle of the Bay tournament, where it was just like, I don't know, where it went from a $60 Enchanted to a $140 Enchanted. I think it did settle back down to like around 80, maybe even a little less than that. But it's like one of those where this card will probably come out, probably won't be very expensive, and like draw 3 cards is really good, guys. So there's a real world where this card is just good and just playable. And I think that it might be a cheap Enchanted. So like it could be a good, just a good financial idea. Like, if this is only a $50 Enchanted, it might be worth putting it up. Even if it doesn't spike and it doesn't go crazy, it might still be worth just picking this card up. I think it's beautiful. I like this one a bunch. And then the obvious Money Tracer. Yeah, right? Like, this card is actually insane. The idea that this is potentially the best legendary in the set, I think it's really easy to argue that it's the best legendary in the set, and that we got an Enchanted for it. I said it earlier. It's like it's literally like if Maui Shark was Enchanted. And then again, like, Mufasa is not even really a playable card. It's never had much competitive success, but Mufasa is still a $300 Enchanted. So the idea that this is one of the most playable cards in the set, It's going to be in one of the most popular decks, probably. And the fact this card's enchanted is remarkable because without a shadow of a doubt, this is the chase of the set. It's also awesome. I mean, this card art is so cool. Yeah, I think this card is very, very easily 300. Like super, super easy. So yeah, I love this. I do love this. And then yeah, we get Hero. I'm very excited about Hero being a set championship card. I think this card's really cool. I love the art for it. I think it's going to be an awesome playmat. And I even like the non. Like I hate, and I said this before in Ursa's Return. You know, I definitely hated the I hate the idea that we get 2 Enchanteds in the same set. But I think it's cool, right? Like I think it's cool that we're getting different. To me, is this the same artist? No. So it's not even the same artist. Honestly, when I looked at the card at first, I didn't look at it earlier. I thought maybe this was just 2 sides of the same art, and just like different ways to draw, and that would have been really cool to see that. And I think that to each their own, this is going to be worth probably around the same. But I do like that this card is playable. Like I really think that this is the first time we're getting a card that actually is playable for a set championship since Stitch. And when Stitch came out, like Stitch really was on the outskirts. There was not like some Stitch Rockstar deck that came around. So I think that as a set championship competitor, you're really excited that this is the card. You know, I think Scars are already $40. You know, like that card never, ever, ever had a chance for it to be like competitive playable ever. This card at least has hope. Like at least it has hope. So interesting. In Lord kind of Discord, people have showed the promos from set 1 in Japan now, and they have the Gyro Oregon play. Okay, yeah. I think that there was another question that brought. Yeah, so I don't think this is DLC. I think this is set championship. And I'm prepared to be wrong for what it's worth. But I think that this is set championship promos. I think it's very similar to Ursula, where we had the Ursula Enchanted and then the set championship Enchanted. That's what I think is going on. So I think this is cool. I think this is a really, really good one to have for sure. Oh, okay. So there you go. That's the answer we needed. So they're starting with C. I can, so you guys see here, this is, I don't know if you can see that or not. Let me take this away. It's a B. So yeah. So this is 24B. So yeah. But I think it's great. I think having him will be awesome. And I love it. I love the artwork. I had literal no care in the world to go and play in set championships for Scars. I had no care. I didn't want the card. I didn't like the playmat. It just was not worth the effort for me to even remotely give enough a crap to even go out to play in set championships, specifically in a busy month where I was already doing a bunch of stuff. So yeah. I mean, I don't think it's great, you know. I don't think it's great, but it's life, you know. It's kind of just life. I don't know. We'll see. Anything else? Oh, and the Mad Hatter, for anyone that didn't see Mad Hatter. Sorry. I'll go back to him. I don't know. Where'd Mad Hatter go? That was weird. I don't know what happened to it. But yeah. I think it's cool. I think it's actually insane. And shout out to Ravensburger and Disney Lorcana. We got an entire set in 8 days. Like honestly, an entire set in 8 days is pretty cool. I think that's great. So it's the only thing that sucks is that because of the way the set release schedule worked out, that we now have to wait 3 weeks to open a pack, which is not fun. But I think it's cool. I think it's great. I think it's going to give a lot of time to, theorize and figure out some stuff for the next couple of weeks. There's not really a great way to play with set 7 beforehand. I have definitely in the past, markered out some cards and played that way, and we'll see how it goes. But I think it's cool. I think it's going to get a lot of time for it to breathe. I also think it's important, for us, we have a day one event that we're going to be streaming at the Encounter, and that day one event, very similar to Azurite Sea, is going to have set 7 legal. So having 3 weeks of knowing all you know about the cards, I think it's going to be good because you can kind of target specific the singles that you want. You can call the store, you can get the online sales going, so pre-race, preview sales and things like that. So I think that that's all good. I think that that's like important that if you're going to have events like that, and shout out to Southside Gaming, they're having the 10 case event as well in Miami. And if you're going to have events like that, it's very good to have players with information early because they can make the best decisions going in of like, all right, what are the cards you're going to buy? Now, the problem is that if everybody just decides, well, I need 4 Tamatoas, I need, like 4 Sapphire Coils. Like if every player, or at least majority of players, all decide like, I'm going to play that deck, well, the store might have a little trouble saying, well, listen, guys, we only have, 20 Tamatoas. That's only 5 people getting a place at Tamatoas, I think. So there might be a little bit of that going on, but that's life. And it's also why the metagame is not defined by week 1 either, because obviously acquiring cards is a cost to playing in events. But I also think that any competitive player in any game, when you sign up for a tournament, you should be prepared to play in the tournament. So if week 1 is, hey, this is what's legal, this is what you're playing, and you're going to that tournament and you're paying the entry fee, I don't think it's a fair excuse to ever I couldn't get the cards I wanted. Listen, if you can't get the cards you wanted, don't complain about the tournament structure. Like, just don't go. I think there's plenty of people that, if you didn't go to NACC and you didn't go to any of these third-party events, you've been playing locally with the same couple people, and you've been playing the same decks for a very long period of time, because this is the longest set. Azurite Sea to Archazia's Island is the longest we've ever had in between set releases, because there's an extra 2 weeks. So because of that, it's just a very long thing. I am personally exuberant at playing with new cards already, because we've been stuck in the same meta for what already feels like forever, and there isn't any DLCs to travel to like keep freshing Azurite Sea. So since there's not some other event to go to, the DKP deck that came out and dominated Australia, and he just went back to back and won another 200-player tournament in Germany, there isn't enough reason to go and say, oh, I care enough right now that in Azurite Sea with Azurite Sea cards only that we can go and figure it out. There's just not enough reason to. Whereas when set 7 comes out, it's a fresh new set of eyes. It also brings a lot of people back. So it just makes everything more exciting. So I'm very excited to play with set 7 cards immediately. And while I think Sapphire is the clear winner, and you guys can tell me, I think this is a pretty fair conversation to have here. What do you guys think? Now that we've seen the whole set, are you excited for Archazia's Island? Are you down about it? Do we get a thumbs up? Do we get a thumbs down? Where are we with this set? Because I've seen a lot of hate, honestly. I think, and listen, I think that even when Azurite Sea came out, there was a lot of stuff that didn't seem very powerful. There's a lot of stuff that I don't think on first impressions, it was very difficult to see what cards were gonna be good to a pretty large length. I think that Azurite Sea ended up having more support to it than people would really give it credit for. And when you look up and down the list, there's plenty of cards in that, there might only be 15, 20 cards, and if we're being honest, none of them might be defining or the reason that you're absolutely playing a deck. But there's so much support in this set that I think the set is still very successful. I think that it's still opened up, the ability to have 5 ink combinations, and then within those ink combinations, 2 or 3 versions of a deck that were good. So I guess right now, as we're looking at it, is Azurite Sea good enough? Is Archazia Island good enough? Is there enough about the set that's exciting? We're seeing some. All right, we got a thumbs up. We hate Green Seal Pirates. It's strong. Shout out to our friends, the Arcana twins. They're very excited. Double thumbs up. I'm sad about the lack of Vanish mechanic, and the Duel Links were quite mid, but overall the set slaps. I think this is interesting. I think that's we can talk about that in a second. I love stuff for Red Steel, but blue stuff is too powerful. Mushu. So this one's interesting, right? And I get it. Like I think whenever you present a new card or a new mechanic, if you really, guys, honestly, like if you really go and you look at Disney Lorcana as a whole, okay, and you look at how they handle mechanics, Singer, I think, is a really prime one. Like Singer is a mechanic that, in set 1, we had a couple of them. It was really good. In set 2, we got a couple more. In set 3, maybe we got one. In set 4, maybe we got one. In set 5, maybe we got one. Like the mechanic was so good and was so powerful that they only started printing like 1%. And on average, it got worse over time. So I think it's very interesting that when you see those things, and in general, mechanics in general, like there aren't that many cards with ward. There aren't that many cards with support. Shift is obviously only Floodborn. So the mechanics in the game, like the actual keyworded mechanics, they're done very, very limited. So the idea that this set only has 4, it's by design of the way Disney Lorcana builds their sets. So that's what I think is interesting. I don't think that they overkilled it. We didn't get like bombarded with 10 of them. So it's definitely something they can keep calling back to now in every set moving forward. And I do expect the next set to have, 3 or 4 more just to get enough, I would say, illusions out there. So maybe in between set 7 and 8, we can say, okay, we can build this illusion deck. And maybe a couple other like supporting cards. Like obviously Jafar is not an illusion, but we're going to play him illusion decks. Treasure Guardian, right, is the 4-cost 3/3. Like he's not an illusion, but we're going to play him in illusion deck. So I think that we're going to definitely get more illusions that at least help us make that possible. But it's also similar to brooms, right? Like there's a lot of brooms out there now, but realistically, there's not a lot of playable ones. So you can build a broom deck, but you can also understand that it's just not good enough. Like you have to play a lot of cards that like have a broom tag, but they're understated, they're uninkable, they don't have the right lore. Like, so that's how I look at it. I think illusions have a good chance to be successful long term. But right now, I'm okay with going like, all right, we only got 4. Like it's not like it comes in and it's like oppressive or anything like that. I thought, I didn't cover this in the video yesterday. I thought the idea that the reason we didn't get locations was because of Duel Links was a very interesting comment. I don't really understand why it matters, if that makes sense. Like, why? Because Duel Links are in there that we couldn't. I didn't get it. I thought that was a really, really weird comment, personally. I don't see why you just couldn't. What would you write? The top 3 sets that we have in Lorcana. I think Chapter 1 is probably still the best set. I think Shimmering Skies is the second best set. I don't know what I would say is set 3. It might be Into the Inklands just because that metagame was so diverse and so good. So like there's probably just enough cards in that set that would force me to say that. But yeah, I think set 1 is, I don't think Amber, I don't think Amber's got a playable card like because of set 1. Like honestly, guys, if you wanted to do a full breakdown of the inks in set 7 here, did Amber get a playable card like at all? like just Amber, like just the Amber cards. I think they got 24 unplayable cards, right? Yeah, I don't know where it was posted. So great comment. Thanks for being there. But it was posted and someone from my social team picked it up. That's the answer. I heard a rumor We didn't get locations because Archazia Island. So like, but see, right? This isn't true, right? And here's why: the library is not a location, guys. It's a location somewhere, like in a setting. So I don't think this is true, right? I don't think that's true. The library is just the library. It could be a library anywhere. There could be a library on Archazia's Island. Who says there isn't? Who says that Archazia herself doesn't have a library? You know. That's all. That's all I'm at. I don't know. I think that there's a reason that it could have just been there. I think that even if it was just like one per color, right? I think that's fine. Yeah, who knows? I don't know if it's because there's a trap, right? I don't know. I just think that it's interesting. I think that you could just make it anything, like if you wanted to. I mean, Archazia's Island could have just been a location in the set, right? Like that could have just been the location. They could have just made one. But I don't know. I think overall, personally, I think the set's fine. I think Duel Links are really cool. I like that the mechanic was added to the game. I like that they really gave identity to certain ink combinations that did not have identity. I think that's like the biggest takeaway for me for Duel Links is that even if it's not good, even if it's not competitive, it still tells new players what to do. Like Ruby Steel, everyone's been wondering for so long, like, why do all these Ruby cards have challenge matter effects? They're not good in Amethyst. They don't work well, with a lot of the other ink combinations. Like, it just doesn't make sense. The cards aren't powerful enough. Well, they came out, they made Mushu, and Mushu's like, oh, this is it. They made Mulan, like, oh, this is it. Like, I think that they did a good job of telling you the story of, like, this is why you should play this ink combination. This is how you should build it. Sapphire Steel, I think, getting this unique identity, even if it's not the best way to play Sapphire Steel, I just like that it's idea that's identity. I like the Floodborne mechanics from Emerald Sapphire. I like Ink Geyser. I just think that overall they did a great job. I think even just making Amber Sapphire, like this puppy thing, is great. They kind of sort of did it with the Emerald Amber as well. So they just gave identity to everything. I think that's really cool. I think it was great that they did it with the IPs and how they kind of distributed those things. And I think just for that alone, Archazia's Island gets an up for me. The competitive stuff I think is tough. I think it's so tough for like how much it impacts because the best cards in the set are Sapphire. And since so much of the set like already had like the metagame itself already had dominant Sapphire decks, that I think a lot of the stuff that we have from Archazia's Island is going to take a little longer to figure out because it's so easy. Guys, it is so easy that on day one of set 7 release, you don't even have to get Tamatoas. Like you don't even need them. Like all you have to get is Sapphire Coils and Bells. They're an uncommon and a common. And you can just build your Ruby Sapphire deck that way. And you can probably be competitive. You don't even need to spend the money on Tamatoa yet. I don't even think it's going to be that relevant. You can certainly build a version of Ruby Sapphire that doesn't even play Tamatoa yet, because I think there's a world that version might need more time to actually be built and thought out. So the idea that so very early, and the same thing can be said for Amethyst Steel, like Cobra in itself could be the only addition to Amethyst Steel. So on day one, you might walk in and go, all right, I only need uncommons. I only need commons. So early on in the metagame, I think that you're very likely going to see that happen, where it's just, I'm just going to not worry about spending $50 on Tamatoas. I'm not going to go crazy. I don't have enough time to figure out like Ink Geyser. It's fine. I think that this will be a slow burn. I think that a lot of the cards will come out to be very powerful. And I think that as we get more time and we get more, honestly, just more eyes on it, right? Like obviously a lot of the testing gets done in Discords and private rooms, and we don't see these huge large events. And honestly, Azurite Sea was the same way. There was tournaments that were streamed from Archazia's Island, but there was only 2 official organized play tournaments. And they were both small. 128 players in NA, 96 players in EU. So you only had just over 200 players to put a full-scale scope from organized play on and under that determined the Azeroth Sea metagame. So there's a lot that might have been left undiscovered in Azeroth Sea, in all honesty, because people weren't going. They weren't focusing on this organized play. They don't go to third-party events. So I think that during these times, it's going to be kind of just an understanding of, hey, not everyone has the same focus. And because there's not official organized play, maybe you're not even crazy about it. Maybe you're not worried about it. I think that given enough time, it'll show that there might even be cards in Azeroth Sea that we missed, in all honesty. So I think that it's the same going to be said for Archazia's Island. If there's not an official organized play announced, it's going to be tough. In all honesty, it's going to be pretty tough. We'll see. But I think overall I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be good. And, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Again, tonight, if you haven't yet, ICL, Team TFM is participating in the ICL tonight. It'll be over on our good friend, The Wizard's Twitch channel. So if you want to watch it there, you can follow him on Twitch. It'll also be on YouTube. Let me get that link for the YouTube real quick because they're still trying to build their YouTube channel, guys. So, if you're a fan of stuff like that on the ICL, I would definitely go check out the YouTube, which is great. I think there's a lot of effort that's going in the ICL, and there's a lot of kind of moving parts to it. So it's really difficult to kind of get that going and get that started, and it needs all the love it can get. So let me see if I can find it really quick because it's really difficult sometimes to find new channels. Because the channel is very new. Hold on. I know a way to get it. Let me go back. The Wizard. Oh, the Wizard's telling me I'm amazing, guys. I have proof. I can screenshot it and send it to everybody, just so we all understand. Give me 1 second, and then I will post the link for this so we can shout them out. Boom. And boom. Here it is. All right. So come back over here to you guys. So here is the Illuminator Champion League on YouTube. So they stream, Wonderland streams it to his channel, and then they also stream it to this channel. Apparently, maybe you figured it out. I don't know. Oh, yeah. And this was fun, too. Shout out to you. Bada bing, bada boom. Thank you. But, yeah, I'm excited. To start the show, we talked about how Dick Burns got a 1-week suspension from the team. Lorcana villain, guys. He won't go away. He just won't go away. He keeps just poking us with a stick. All right. I love Baker though. I do. Tomorrow, I will not be live streaming tomorrow morning, but we are going to premiere. I'm going to premiere the Zach Bivens interview. Wonderful interview with Zach Bivens. I had such a blast. There's going to be probably a couple more reels that come out today on Instagram and Facebook about it. So if you want to see those, you definitely should be following us there. Zach Bivens is awesome. Great conversation with him. It's not a joke. The interview was a year in the making. I remember before official organized play was being made, Zach Bivens was already driving 6 hours to play in 1K tournaments. And I remember when I first read that story, I reached out to Zach. I'm like, yo, Zach, I really want to sit down. I want to talk to you. And Zach's like, hey, I'm just really busy right now. And I'm the type of person that I don't badger people. If people are busy, all right, they're busy, no big deal. It'll happen eventually. And it took almost a full year to make it happen. So I'm very excited to finally sit down with Zach and do that. And that tomorrow, I'm probably going to set to premiere for 10 a.m. tomorrow, Eastern Standard Time, maybe 11 a.m. We'll see. But I'll be in chat. It'll go out. We'll go live. I'll let Zach know if he wants to hang out so he can chat about it too. And that way we can kind of all watch that video together and kind of enjoy it together because it really was. It was a great interview. Zach's ambitions for Disney Lorcana are second to none. So we're going to have fun with that tomorrow morning. And then, of course, we will be back live tomorrow night. I will definitely we'll remove Dick Burns from his suspension from the team. He can come back and play and enjoy and talk Disney Larcana, because there's still a lot to talk about, guys. And I'm sure there's more. There'll be more. Let me just double check before if I get off here if there was any more enchantments, just to confirm. But it's been a lot of fun today. Doesn't look like it. So let's check out Twitch. Do we have any friends on Twitch that are streaming right now, guys? Let's see. All right, we don't have any particular friends, but we can still send people along. So thank you guys so much for watching today. That concludes the set. It's finally over. And now for the channel, we're going to start breaking down what are the best cards, what are the best starting places. Lots of new decks. In all honesty, you know, Baja Blast is a deck that we started kind of playing in set 6, and you know, I was talking to AJ today, and I think there's like 7 ways to build Emerald Sapphire right now, and that's a lot. That's a lot to cover, but I think it's exciting. I think it's really great that we're going to have that opportunity to like play with new stuff. And yeah, so again, the Metafy, the Metafy guide for our Archazia Island will be live on Friday. We already have 1 chapter complete. The finance guide's already done. Scott Landis is way ahead of everybody, so shout out to Scott for doing all that work. But we're going to have a couple other things going on there. Some Metafy posts are being made probably today or tomorrow about the favorite cards from the set from different players from the team. So if you haven't yet, go follow us on Metafy, guys. It's in the description of every video. It's just free content on average. And then, of course, it's again, I say this all the time. It is the best way to support us is through Metafy. 100%. The deal with Metafy that we have is phenomenal. And if there's any time you ever want to support anything that we're doing, right there is the best way to do it. And you also get part of the community for us. You get in the Discord, a specific chat in the Discord that allows you to kind of be with everybody. Right now, there's like 20, 22 players in there, which is awesome. It's getting even more and more active. As it grows, the activity in the chat will also grow. I also yell at people all the time for not being more active. So I always poke them. So often someone will message me and I'm like, bro, put it in the Discord. Like, let's have a talk there. Let's have an open conversation. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. It's been a lot of fun. I've been talking for a very long period of time and my voice is already gone and I got to go pick up my kids from school. So thank you guys again. ICL tonight, 7 p.m. EST. You're going to have TFM versus Sebaristan. It's going to be a lot of fun. The casters on the call are all great tonight, so it's going to be great. I'm not there, but if you're in the Discord already, I'll be hanging out in Discord tonight, watching it. If you want to do a watch party, come hang out with me. Thanks again so much for hanging out tonight. We're going to send everybody on Twitch off onto their yonder. I hope you guys all have some fun. And yeah, it's been great. You guys were awesome and active today. Is wonderful. Thank you guys so much. If you already hit that like button, you're crazy. If you enjoy this, make sure you hit subscribe, of course. But yeah, thanks, guys.